Hi, Kristoffer,
Hello.
and welcome to Walk in the Park.
Thank you.
Today we're meeting in Mandal during this amazing /D in Mandal, which is a local version of event for startup founders, investors and corporates to meet together and share and learn from each other. And now we're going for a walk in Mandal, see around and get to know about your journey.
I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. And usually in Walk in the Park, we invite startup founders to really get to know how they started, what inspired them. And you have a really cool story about you started young during high school and you actually were doing something else before properly. So I'm looking forward to get to know you better. Let's walk.
Likewise.
First question I usually ask is, how often do you have walk and talk? Is it a habit or something in your life?
Way too little. Honestly, I think I sit way too much in the office. Even during work, like we do too much meetings and everything in-house. We tend to try to maybe have a lunch every now and then where we just walk out and find something to eat somewhere. But yeah, too little of it.
Let's see how that works. The idea is also to take breaks sometimes and also see how walking and reflecting and talking can bring something new and more creativity in your life.
And it's the first time for me in Mandal. So it's an excellent time to actually walk a bit around here and look at the place as well.
That's perfect. So tell us more about yourself. So who are you and what do you do now?
Yeah, so my name is Christopher. I'm 24 years old, from Oslo originally. Founded a company together with two childhood friends back in 2019, which is the one we're currently working in as well. Previously it was called Eiendomsappen, which translates to the property app. But we quickly rebranded it to Properly, which is a property management software company.
How did you get the idea? So you were 19 years old, you were finishing high school, or it was one more year, and you just started. So how did that happen?
So naturally, I didn't have any connections myself to real estate. So it was really an initiative from a couple of real estate companies. So it actually goes all the way back until middle school, when me and the two other co-founders of Properly, we built a communication platform for sports teams. And that app was called Easy Coach. And by coincidence, towards the last year of high school, two real estate companies actually used that app and got to know us and contacted us and challenged us to bring some of the same communication technology into real estate. So it was really nothing that we were not sitting down and trying to figure out something to do. We were all planning to go to university and start the traditional adult life. But then we were super lucky to be contacted by two real estate companies that brought the initial idea to us.
Easy Coach is something you started, as you say, in middle school. And so that happened because you were playing soccer yourself or doing any other sports. So tell us that story. How did that happen?
No, so I mean, we were, all of the three co-founders, we were big in football. And that was really the only thing we did at that time. We did some programming on the side, we made games, we had fun with it. But really, we didn't do much else than playing soccer, like a lot of other teenagers do. But we were using just the traditional Facebook group, for managing the team, for checking attendance, etc. And we actually had the brother of one of the co-founders, he was playing in an elite football team. And so they saw the necessity of creating a sports club app. And they actually contacted us then because they knew that we were doing some programming on the side. This was his brother, right? So he knew us pretty good. And so they got us in contact with the sports team. And we met them initially and discussed a bit about the idea. We were, say, 13, 14 or something like that at the time, maybe 15. So I remember very good now that when we first met that sports team that was wanting us to build that app, they asked us how much would it cost for us to build that app for them. And we decided that we would do it for 5,000 Norwegian kroners. And that was like a complete iOS app. It was a web app. It was a Android app. So I have no idea how we came to that conclusion. I mean, money wasn't anything that we discussed or knew about at that time. So it took like 5 minutes into that meeting with that sports team before they, of course, decided that, yeah, let's go ahead with it. And so we started building and yeah.
And you actually built it and then became how many countries is it? 20 plus countries, 30,000 users at that point?
A bit over 30 3,000 users. It's actually across 50 countries.
Oh, it's 50 now?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So, I mean, we haven't managed it or done anything with it for the past almost 10 years now. But it's still like existing, and yeah, it's not in a very good state. I have to admit,
but still pretty impressive traction.
Yeah, and it was super fun for us also then, because I mean, sports teams from Australia, from Southern America, they contacted us, they became customers, and we really built that whole platform with a self-onboarding and kind of SEO method so that we could, quickly scale to a lot of different countries. And that's also something that we were hoping to achieve with the current platform. Of course, it's a bit bigger B2B software than what EasyCoach was, but yeah, still. It was a very exciting time.
So when you set 5,000 Norwegian kroners and you will be doing that, you could code at that time and you were building games before that, right?
Yeah, so we had...
or you started to learn coding after you said yes to that?
No, we knew some, but as I said, it was mostly game development. Because again, what excites you when you're 13 years old? It's soccer and it's playing video games. Mm-hmm. So we were building video games, some occasional apps. So we kind of knew the basics of coding. We didn't know any of the languages for web or iOS or Android, right? So we had to learn that ourselves. And it actually ended up with us then having to decide that, okay, this is actually too much technology to learn about. So we split a platform each. So I became the iOS developer, Steinar, one of the other founders, he became the Android developer, and Ole became the web developer. And that was the exact same formula that we then copied to properly as well in the beginning. So that when we started that platform also, each of us had one platform as responsibility. And then, of course, after some time, kind of our roles started to expand other than just programming. But yeah, that was our initial kind of way into programming.
So cool, very smart to divide responsibilities early. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's one of your success secrets that it's gamification involved and also dividing responsibilities early. And what do you think?
Yeah, and I mean, one of the big parts about EasyCoach, right, was communication. And that translates directly into actually the initial requests from the real estate companies, right? When they contacted us, they had property management software, FTV-plattformer, which it's called, which is like the technical management of commercial real estate, right? You have a lot of platforms and they are older than I am. And none of them really focused on the communication between the tenants, the landlords, and all of the external contractors. So it was actually started out as a communication platform because we saw that when you look at a sports team, you have the players on the bottom, a lot of them. You have the coach at the top, and you have all of the parents on kind of the side that is somewhat involved in kind of everything that happens. And it was kind of the exact same triangle for the real estate companies. So you had the tenants on the bottom, a lot of them, that were kind of some of the main users. You had the landlords at the top, and you had all of the contractors on the side that kind of came into the platform. So the communication and the collaboration was really the key of the start of Properly. And then, of course, it's expanded since then. We have kind of a lot of more regulatory kind of tools, etc., in the platform. But it really started with just a simple communication.
And this is one of the most important things because people really miss a lot on this miscommunication.
Yeah.
And this is what needed. This is where you learn this like dividing responsibilities, different players and different zones, right?
Yeah.
It's coming from soccer.
Correct. And both from then let's call it the team, so the three founders, kind of our split responsibility. Again, it started with the tech responsibilities, so kind of what platform we build on. But then, even when we started scaling, I kept a lot of the product ownership. Steinar, he became more on the sales and the new sales, and then Ole went more towards the customer success and existing customers. So we've kind of always had some split responsibilities, and even though everyone is always kind of involved in everything, right? Because you cannot be not involved in everything when you're a founder. It really made us be able to focus on different parts of the company, especially when we didn't have any background to go based on. So we had to learn everything ourselves on the path.
Another thing, was it happening at the same time as Pond was starting?
So the EasyCoach app was actually before Spond.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
And Spond, I mean, they're of course the the biggest you can call it competitor, but I mean we don't work with Easy Coach anymore. But we built Easy Coach before Spond came to the market. Remember at that time we were 14 or something like that during middle school, and then suddenly Spond came into the market. They raised like 10 million euros or something like that from all of these investors. We were still like figuring out how to learn to code, etc. So I mean, when the product really was for sports teams and other clubs that don't necessarily have too much or too good of an economy, right, to pay for the license and everything, we pretty early on figured out that was not a battle that we were wanting to take. And then when kind of the real estate focus suddenly came into play, we jumped over to that as soon as possible.
So you guys learned coding through YouTube, sitting in the basement, playing soccer for your other spare time. Yeah. But then properly came and you started to build. But then I heard on one of other podcasts about this pivoting moment in your life when your chair of the board, I think, told you guys should really get out there and start calling people, start talking to people. So you guys then at one point pivoted and switched towards more customer success oriented focus. So tell us about that pivot. How was that?
I mean, it was a very important time for us. We were lucky that because we founded the company together with two real estate companies, right? And one of those real estate companies, the chairman of the board of Properly, or the previous one, he started his own business selling cars, right? And so he has always been super interested into sales. And we naturally, coming from kind of the product side of things, right? We liked to sit in front of the computers, build everything 100%, and try to kind of make everything 100% good before we approach the customers, right? But he was like calling us in the beginning, like a couple times a week, and just constantly asking us, how many cold calls have you done since I last called you? And every time we said 0, like he would get mad at us, right? Because he was really focused on us getting quickly to the market, listening really to what the customers wanted us to build, etc. And that was a very important kind of lesson for us as well, coming from the comfortable product focus to actually leaning more towards daring to go to the market with the product early, getting customers involved in the development, and really focusing in on actually getting customers paying on board as early as possible. That has also helped us a lot when it comes to the financing of the company as well, right? We've had a big commercial focus, and so we've only raised about 1 million euros in total. Currently we are around 2 million euros in ARR. We generate more cash than we burn. So kind of, we have been very, you can say, lucky, especially with the more difficult financial kind of markets currently, that we were quickly out there getting customers aboard, paying and kind of financing the development based on it. A big lesson that I think a lot of also other companies focus too little on is getting early into the market, and really seeing if the product that they build is something that someone is finding worth paying for.
But how was that for you then? Was it easy to change the focus, and how did you structure that? All three of you started to call, or? Yeah,
so it ended up being that, because in the beginning, this was before before I took the product ownership and the two others took the customer success and the sales ownership. So we were still everyone kind of programming a bit, and then we were spending 20% of the time just doing cold calls and selling. So we actually split the responsibility, because again, at that time, we didn't really know what we wanted to do in a couple of years, right? We didn't know who would be in love with product development, who would be in love with sales, who would be in love with customer success or operations, stuff like that. So still at that time, everyone did a bit of everything. And then without us really sitting down and concluding on who should have what responsibility, that kind of came naturally just by everyone testing out everything, because we hadn't done any of it before properly.
Yeah. So what are you in love with now, personally?
So I think this is also something that I try to enforce on a lot of of the rest of the team that you should try to be in love with the problems of the customers, not with the solutions. I still, as I say, have a lot of the product ownership for the company, but building solutions or building tools is not something that I pride of, or that I really am the best at, or want to be the best at. I really want to be in love with understanding the problems of the customers, right? So I find it highly enjoying to be out there with the customers, see what their actual problems are, and then translating it kind of towards the product team and have them help develop the solutions based on the actual problems, instead of us trying to sit in a workshop and come up with solutions by ourselves. And then of course, kind of, I'm super lucky to also have be able to go to places like this in Mandal, have a great relationship with both customers, investors, and everyone else, as well as kind of the product development part of it.
So you were like 18 and 19 years old, so what was the response from them?
I mean, of course, you get met by a lot of questions, right? Why is some 18 or 19-year-old calling us about some real estate, right? So we tried to take a different approach at that time. We were not trying to sell anything. We pretended that we were students, and we were trying to learn more about how property management worked. And of course, these guys invited us in then, of course, because they wanted to show us how everything worked. And then we started talking more and more during the meeting about, okay, we were actually building something for this. And that was a very good approach for us in the beginning when kind of trying to do the cold calling.
When you start your next company, bootstrap or investors?
Oh, hopefully I'll be able to bootstrap it with my own money.
Single founder or co-founding team?
Co-founding team. Oh, definitely.
Now I have to ask you about luck. You mentioned that several times. I'm lucky, and we were lucky, and it's always an interesting conversation about what is luck and what happened before you get lucky. What do you think? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, you always have to put yourself in a position where you can get lucky, and I think we've done a lot of it. Of course, I still find it became very random, or very lucky, you can say, that we ended up in real estate, that we ended up with property, that we ended up with being where we are currently. But still, kind of, we always dared to put ourselves in those tricky situations where the luck can end up happening.
One of the founders on the podcast, she said, entrepreneurship is about being comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Is it something you also can relate?
Definitely. And I mean, everything we did was uncomfortable, right? When we stepped into the first real estate company's office, like back in 2019, we were 19 years old. We were trying to figure out kind of what is real estate. We didn't know anything about product development, or we knew a bit of that. We didn't know anything about sales, nothing about financials, business development, pricing models. We didn't really know anything, right? So we had to try to be uncomfortable and just learning things by doing. And luckily we got a bit lucky as well on the ride.
There are several cool milestones you posted about during last time. You were first, I remember, like half year ago, you guys got the first big public customer.
Correct.
Right, in addition to almost 200 private companies as customers at that point. And also at the same time that came an article that you guys are not doing the financial round, which is pretty cool title to have in itself on the main page. How was that? What did you feel at that moment?
It was a super exciting year last year for us. As I said, we really wanted to become cash flow positive in 2024. Luckily, we got it. But at the same time, we were kind of still trying to figure out the product. We were still figuring out a lot of things for the commercial real estate companies, which are our primary customers, like you said, a bit over 200 of them. And then we also tried to experiment with the public sector, because the public sector is a big sector in Norway for real estate, right? We joined on the first couple of bids to try to see if that was something that we actually could get customers on. And then luckily the first one we applied to or joined the process of, we got as a customer. And then to top it all off, we two of the real estate companies that I said we founded the company together with, like a lot of other real estate companies, have had more struggling financial times last couple of years, and they've been through an excellent ride with Properly and with us to build the company to where we are now. They've helped us tremendously along the way. And we saw that we also needed some more backing or support for, let's call it, more professional investors that could kind of take the company then from 25 to 100 million NOK in revenue. So we started a process together with those two real estate companies to see if there was an interest from the market, and luckily there was a lot. We had a lot of different paths that we could go towards, both international and national investors that came to the doorsteps, and then we were super happy with the result with ArcRightX, with Skagerak Capital, and some other smaller investors as well to join the board. So it was a very, very hectic 2024. We closed the round, I think it was December 12th, 10th or something like that, and I remember that Christmas was all about just recovering from a big year for us. And luckily we've started the year here also very good in 2025. So I'm really excited for the times ahead as well.
Me too. I'm looking forward to follow. So what is the big ambition for the 2025 and years coming with the new investors on board?
So I mentioned a bit about the public sector. That will become a important kind of step for us as well. We have a lot of exciting processes there. We'll continue to build the product to become even better, utilize AI in ways to make property management even easier than before, and just in general kind of try to build on a lot of the focus we had in 2024 on getting customers happy with the product. So yeah, trying to scale. We'll see. At some point, of course, we'll have the discussions about internationalization. It's not something that we rush. Again, we've tried to build a lot with little resources. So we're not going to kind of just throw money at some bet and hope that it succeeds. We'll do it when we feel it's a natural and a good step for us to take. And I'm pretty sure it's not in too long time ahead. But yeah, we're not rushing anything like that. We want to keep focus on the sectors in Norway and keep making the product even better for them as well.
So I see you are in love with the problem solving, you are passionate about customer happiness, and you actually have a role of CEO of the company, which is a lot of other responsibilities in addition, and taking care of people. So how do you enjoy this role, and why you took that role?
So it was not really as I said a bit earlier, it was not something that we sat down and really discussed. It kind of came a bit along the way. I also really enjoy meeting with investors and getting people on board. I like talking. I like being on scenes. I have to be honest with that, or stages. So it is a place where I feel very comfortable. I also come from a school in middle school where everything, like a lot of the tests and exams are oral exams. So I really come from a background where I've always enjoyed speaking. Even my parents, and especially my father, has always been great at kind of public speaking and working in sales as well. So I enjoyed being in the position, and then also being able then to dedicate a lot of resources to product development and making sure that customers are happy.
But what about company culture, and how do you build that, and what is that for you?
It's a very big and difficult questions, right? Because building a culture is difficult, especially when we came as kind of the new and young people into not just our company, right, but for the whole sector. So we got a lot of attention early on for being the disruptors and being someone that dared to think differently. And I think that is something that we also then try to build into the culture, as I said. But I mentioned also a bit earlier about this love for the problems and being in love with the customers, not just building products for the sake of building something or throwing money to scale somewhere just to scale it. We really need to be in love with the customers, with the problems. And that's kind of some of the culture that I think we try to enforce on the whole team. Some people join startups because they envision this big scaling of, we're going to go from 10 to 100 employees because that's fun. That's not the cultural kind of the scaling that I want to do. I want us to kind of build a product that that people love and that will scale naturally because of that. And as a part of the process of getting new investors on board last fall, we actually also got all of the employees on board. So everyone except for 2 bought shares in the company. And I also think that that makes a great impact on the culture, because then we're everyone on the same path, we're everyone aligned on the bigger goals. And I'm super happy and privileged to feel that so many of the existing employees really wanted to join on that ride. So yeah, that's a bit of the culture that we're trying to build it properly.
Part of your job is taking care of your people and supporting people and doing a lot for them. But what about yourself? So how do you take care of yourself on the founder journey?
It's it's a lot of work. Luckily, I have a great family that has supported it from the beginning. Both my parents, my girlfriend, everyone has always been super supportive of the work I do. And even though it becomes kind of late nights, I try to spend a lot of time with all of them to relax and take some time off. Still playing football to take care of both my body and my brain, and I'm happy that I'm still doing that. So yeah, a bit of sports, a bit of family will take care of it.
So you do breaks, you do conscious kind of breaks and pauses.
Yeah, I try to do it. Probably not enough. I hear that a lot, but I really love what I do, so I'll keep doing it.
I can see that. It's a big discussion about collaboration inside the team. How do you find the best co-founders? What's important? You guys know each other from early age and been playing soccer and kind of know each other's qualities, right? And have good connection, I would assume. But what was important for you on the way when you started really and started to become serious and building company?
So the bit difficult thing about that, right, is the 3 founders. We are also 3 childhood friends, and we're in the same friend group of 10 people that do everything together, right?
Yeah.
So when I come back home from office, and then I have stuff to do with my friends, my co-founders will be there as well, right? So it was important for us that we tried to separate work and the private life, let's call it that. And it's not always easy. And again, coming back to luck, I think we're lucky to have had such a good collaboration and relationship that we've never argued outside of work. Of course, there's a lot of disagreements when it comes to work, but we've always kind of put that to the side when it comes to the personal life. You always hear that you should never do business with friends or family. We did it, and we were lucky that it worked out. But I think it was very key that we then split out what we do on the spare time and being friends with the business as well.
It seems like everything is so smooth and great. Anything you would do differently?
A lot of things I'd do differently. So it's a very difficult question. Trying to think about what I would do differently. There's not much things I'd say that I would do differently based on the things I knew at that time. Of course, there were a lot of customers and sales processes that we spent too much time on. We built things in the product that we shouldn't have spent time on. We focused on the wrong type of investors, and we spent too much time on that. But really, I try to rather focus on where we are currently and the times ahead. And I know that I will be doing a lot of other mistakes going forwards, but just trying to focus on optimizing the times ahead and not looking back at everything I could have done differently. I think has been a kind of a success factor for us that didn't really have any knowledge before starting properly that told us how to do things. So,
but it was interesting reflection and a great honest answer. So I really appreciate that. Looking forward to follow the journey.
Thank you.
Of you personally and properly, and what's happening next. And thank you so much for your time.
Likewise. Thank you so much.